Happy Hump Day, everybody, and the excitement continues on a Wednesday. I'm Chelsea Whittington, and it's time for another CWHITT session. What's a CWHITT session? I'm so glad you asked. A CWHITT session is a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. And today is truly a surprise for the simple fact that my guest, Dr. Maya Dominique, she and I are just meeting for the first time right now in this moment. Welcome, Dr. Dominique.
Thank you.
I am so glad that you and your husband reached out because you are tackling issues in our community that matter. But before I get into all of that and your upcoming Women's Health Fair on April 27th, I always like to open my conversations with my guests with just who are you? Who's Dr. Maya Dominique?
So my name is Dr. Maya Dominique. I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
Came to Indiana by way of Illinois. So I went to medical school in Chicago, and I did my residency at Mercy Hospital, residency at Mercy Hospital Center in Chicago.
I will say that you are an OB/GYN, and I like to emphasize the specialties of our doctors, particularly our Black women doctors. There may be a young lady watching right now that sees your beautiful brown skin and says, I want to follow in her footsteps. So kudos to you. Did you always know you wanted to study medicine, or is it something you stumbled across? How did it happen?
Yeah, so I always say that this was something that God has actually ordained me to do. So since I've been 5 years old, it's the only thing that I've ever dreamed about doing was delivering babies, not realizing really what it meant, but that's just sort of what was in my mind.
Yeah.
And for a 5-year-old to say that, it can only be God that gave them that desire, and pretty much
I agree. That's beautiful. So when you and your husband reached out to talk more about your upcoming event, you specifically emphasized a certain epidemic, I would call it, I guess, in our community of color around mortality, maternal mortality and morbidity. Can you talk to me about what those two are, what the differences are, and how they're impacting the Black community?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I would say maybe about 15 years ago, when I was in residency, it became a big deal that we found out Black women are dying more than anyone. When they did the research, they realized that Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die in pregnancy than any race. More specifically, I was reading an article the other day in New York, Black women are 9 to 10 times more likely to die than any race. I'm more likely to die in pregnancy than a white woman without a high school diploma. And so when I was in residency, it became, it sat with me because I worked at Mercy Hospitals, which is on the south side of Chicago, where I serve predominantly Black, Hispanic, and people of color. And from there, I realized that I had to do something about it. It's not just me. I will say that this week is Black Maternal Wellness Week.
Yes, it is.
So there's a lot of things that are going on in regards to getting the word out. But one thing that always surprises me is that Black women don't realize that just being pregnant, they're at a risk factor. I actually had a pretty serious emergency this morning dealing with a Black woman. So when we talk about maternal morbidity for mortality, morbidity is just a issue or a concern that happens with a woman, whether you could say something like preeclampsia or postpartum hemorrhage. What we find is that Black women deal with these issues more often, and they're not treated appropriately the way that they should be treated. In regards, when you say the word mortality, that is actually someone losing their life and them actually dying. So we know that both of those things happen more likely in Black women, and we have found some of the issues are related to people not listening, and majority of all of them are preventable. It's not like these women are dying because they should die, they are preventable. And so what I am finding is a big issue when I deal with my patients, it's lack of education. A lot of them don't realize how they can actually know what's going on with their bodies and how to be able to advocate for themselves, even if they're not being taken care of, to realize that they're actually not being taken care of, to advocate for themselves.
Because that was definitely a question I was going to ask about access to information. A lot of times, and I've heard interviewing and working with other doctors in our community, they talk about not even coming to see their OB/GYN till like the 2nd or 3rd trimester and not getting the regular checkups and things like that. How does that impact?
Yes, so there's an issue with we call preconception health. So you want to make sure that you optimize your health before you're pregnant, because of course, if you have issues such as obesity, you have hypertension, or you have diabetes before you're pregnant, all of those things potentially and could worsen when you're pregnant. One of the big things that I see, because I work with underserved women, especially in Gary, it's a food desert there, right? And so I have to really talk to my patients about what foods to eat. More specifically, if you drive around Gary, there's not a lot of stores there, right? So you have a lot of corner stores. You don't have access.
Those convenience stores.
Yeah, the convenience stores. So you don't have access to a lot of nutritious meals. And so I really try to instill in my patients the importance of, if you are pregnant, now you're pregnant, right? What can we do now? Some things as simple as not eating ramen noodles I have seen has drastically changed some outcomes of women.
They're so salty.
They're so salty.
Wow.
And so it's just so important that preconception health, that you take care of that before. But if you do end up pregnant, if you are in an area where you don't have access to the, I would say, the best nutrition, or the parks where you can actually walk, or you don't feel safe walking down the street, or different things like that, that is where it's great to have a physician to come in to give you some of those tools and tips.
Well, it's great to have this physician today on our CWIT session. I'm talking with Dr. Maya Dominique, and you have an amazing 2-day program coming up, and it's at one of the locations that's near and dear to my heart. You share with me that you're from Wichita by way of Chicago, and here in Northwest Indiana, here in North Shore. And shout out to North Shore for being the sponsor of this event that I'm getting ready to talk about. And you are hosting a women's health fair, and it's going to be at the Boys and Girls Club in Gary on Saturday, April 27th from 11 to 3. Talk about your vision for that day.
Yes, so I'm so excited about it. It was something that was brought to my attention that I could do, because I do have a vision for where I'm going in the future with making sure that I play my part in decreasing maternal morbidity and mortality. And what I realized as an OBGYN in this area, in Indiana, we as a state have a high rate of maternal mortality in relation to other states in the United States. However, also in this area, Lake County specifically, we are #1 in the entire state for infant mortality. So our babies are more likely to die by the age of 1 in this county than any other county in the state of Indiana. And
that's a scary statistic, though.
It's very scary. And I take care of these women, and I take care of their babies, and I can get their babies here, but then I have to make sure that I'm also doing something to make sure that these patients understand the importance and resources that are available to them to keep their babies alive. And what I found is, as a physician, we're so busy. We're doing so much. And I did not realize all the resources that are available in Northwest Indiana, specifically,
we're pretty cool.
specifically because of the statistics that we're talking about. And so I realized that they're everywhere. There's a lot of different resources. But how do these women access these resources? There are things, as I've started to put this health fair together, tons of resources I didn't know about, and some that I wish would be at the health fair that won't be there, because I'm learning about them as I'm going. And
that's all right. We'll keep doing that. Right? We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. So I'm so excited to say that I tell my patients, this is for you. I'm bringing it under one roof. Many resources that are available to you to make sure that you are well during your pregnancy, postpartum, and also your baby as well. I even go as far just to not necessarily call it a health fair for my pregnant women, but a women's health fair. More specifically, I've been telling the moms, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, that I believe this problem is not just going to be combated by me educating one woman, but educating the moms, educating the aunts. Because if you have a cousin that sees what's going on, they can, if they come to the health fair and they realize, they can share the info and tell you where to go get the support you need.
Well, I am really excited about it. The lineup is very family friendly. You have a live cooking demo. So who's doing the cooking, and what are you cooking?
So actually, my family is doing the cooking.
Nice.
He is a chef. And so one of the big components that I think is part of decreasing maternal morbidity is diet. And so we're going to discuss how you can actually have a budget-friendly, healthy meal that is actually tasty, right? And so that's our goal, is because we know that some of my patients, they can't afford to go and, buy very expensive, different,
at Whole Foods.
Exactly, but you can get fresh fruits and vegetables from certain places. And actually, how can you make them and not just make them be also culturally appropriate, right? Because everyone doesn't eat the same thing, but we want to make sure that it's culturally appropriate, that you really like what you're eating, and that we're able to show you actually how to do it.
Gotcha. Next on the list, children's entertainment. So we know when the moms bring the kids out and they're just like, oh my God, I'm ready to go. But not in this case if they have entertainment. So what can we look for our children?
Yeah, so we actually have someone coming in, and he, I want you guys to come and see what he's doing. Right? Okay. So he has a lot of different ways in which he says that he can entertain children. It would be more like, not necessarily a clown, but just different. I think he has different personalities and different things to really entertain kids.
I love that. Again, you are watching a CWIT session. I'm talking to Dr. Maya Dominique. We're talking about this women's health fair happening next Saturday, April 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Boys and Girls Club in Gary. It's Boys and Girls Club of Greater Northwest Indiana. Shout out to Ken Patrick Berry, the executive director over there, and my friend, 27 West 19th Avenue in Gary. Next on the list, I love this, free health screenings. You can't get enough screenings, Doc. What kind will be at your event?
Yes, so the Gary Health Department, they'll be coming out and they'll be doing cholesterol screenings. They'll be hemoglobin A1C screenings. You can also have a rapid test HIV screening. You also have chlamydia and gonorrhea screening. Those will be available at there. We also have a cardiovascular screening that will be there. So so we have someone that's actually coming out and doing heart screenings.
Shout out to the Gary Health Department and our Health Commissioner, Dr. Janet Seabrook. Yeah. I recently hosted an event a few weeks ago, and they were one of our partners. And they're very resourceful. So I know as you're doing your due diligence to prepare for this, you're finding these different agencies and entities. We're willing, and they just need to know about it. And so now you are bringing
specific things for our pregnant women. But I do have, in this area, I know that people may be taking care of loved ones. Mm-hmm. So I do have the VNA that's coming out, and they will talk about hospice services. I have a specific vendor that's coming out discussing things about Alzheimer's support. I have someone coming out to discuss about grief. And I also know that it's very important mental health. Yes. So there's also going to be vendors there specifically talking about mental health. I do have a vendor. I know that a lot of women deal with abnormal uterine bleeding. I have someone that will be out, a vendor that specifically specializes. Maybe you're getting like certain procedures done in the hospital, and you don't know really what company is actually behind that. Mm-hmm. I have a company that I utilize a lot of their tools. Okay. It's Hologic. And they will be coming out to pretty much just educate you on abnormal uterine bleeding and the options that you have.
This is awesome. Just got to ask you, since I said I'm beyond my childbearing years, who's going to be there to talk about menopause? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, but see, that's great, right? Because one of the things that we will have is we want to know what does the community need, right? Mm-hmm. So this is almost, I would utilize it almost as a community needs assessment. I'm not from Gary, but many people do say.
They say,
they say, oh yeah, it's Towson building. Oh, the Towson building. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, what you say. Well, I love it. The more that you immerse yourself in the community, you will find that we are loving, we are concerned, and we want the information. And I'm so glad that you and your team and North Shore Health is coming to our community to deliver this information. So there are going to be giveaways, and I was looking at the list. I see strollers and pack and plays and gift cards and free haircuts to children 17 and under. Who's doing the haircuts?
So actually we have Little Lou's.
I was gonna guess Little Lou's everywhere. Yeah. Love them over there.
Yeah, so they'll be there and they'll be providing free haircuts. Because I know that's one thing that, a lot of women need their children's haircut. And another way to bring you guys out to make sure that you're coming, get your hair cut while you're there learning and making sure that your kids are walking out looking great.
All right, Louis Robb, shout out to my brother over at Little Lou's Barber College. Now, I'm turning the page literally the next day, and I love this. Now, this is an all in-person event on the 27th, and then we fast forward to the
group of 3 of us, myself, and then I also have a family member of mine, near and dear to me, who will be on there that just recently gave birth and had an issue that occurred. Okay. And so we really want to drill and talk about specifically when you go to the hospital, what to ask,
Yes.
right? And how you can have, one of my patients calls it, dominate your appointments with confidence. That you can go to your appointments and you can ask questions and make sure that those questions are asked, or you can reach out to other people that might be able to answer your questions. We do have another lady that will be on there, again, with the mental health component, just to make sure that we're just grounded in the moment, right? And we are aware of who we are and what we're standing for. And not only that, that we have every right to what we want and desire for.
So this is 3 to 5. If we want to jump on this Zoom, how do we access it? I'm definitely going to post your information on my pages. I'm going to send it out to thousands of people. So I want to flood the health fair. And then we want to flood the Zoom. So what do they need to do?
Yes, so you can get on our website at womenshealthfair.splashthat.com.
Okay.
And that is where the Zoom link will be.
Okay.
And we will be on there, and we'll be there not only discussing the issues, but really I want to get connected to, like I said, this is a needs assessment. What do you need,
Yes.
right? What do women need? What do women feel like they're missing? More than me just preaching information to you, what can we take back from this that we can be able to distribute in the future to make sure that things are taken care of?
I really, really feel like Saturday is going to be a safe place, a safe space filled with information and resources. And so again, I want you to come out on Saturday, April 27th. Come to Towson. Come to the Boys and Girls Club, 11 to 3. And then on Sunday, it's the perfect timing in that it's 3 to 5. So if you're going to worship service, if you got to go to the grocery store, you got to cook that healthy meal for your family. And then you can sit down in front of the computer, your phone, your iPad, your whatever device, and you can log on and listen. And will there be a recording of this? You know, sometimes if you can't jump on live, hopefully it'll live somewhere that we can play it back.
You know, that's a good question. Most likely we will do it live. We have that option.
Okay.
Sometimes people, they don't want to necessarily have their information recorded because, and so really, you know, I'll have to discuss and see if this is the best event. Yeah, the desire of the women that are on the Zoom. Does this make sense for us to actually have this recorded? Because some people do talk about very personal, sensitive information. And I want, like you said, I want them to feel safe. I want it to be a safe place and not feel like if they say something that, you know, someone could listen to it and they
totally understood. I just want to prepare my network and following for what's poised to be an amazing weekend closing out the month of April. And I will just say, having just met you only moments ago, color me impressed. Thank you for sharing your journey from Wichita all the way to Maryville, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, and you are changing lives. It is indeed your ministry. I feel that. And as we close out, I'll invite you to just look into the camera and make a final appeal for the support of both Saturday and Sunday, April 27th and 28th. Take it away, Don.
Absolutely. So for the Women's Health Fair, I would love not that only if you are pregnant or if you're in the postpartum, that's really who this is for. Like if you are pregnant, I am here to support you, to make sure that you know what to expect when you go to the hospital, what to expect, how you should be treated when you're in the office. I want you to come out so you can really get that information. Again, I'm reaching out beyond the pregnant woman and asking that as a group, our community, we're going to have to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
And it's not just the women, but it's the men. I have amazing men that are connected to their families. Men are involved with their children. My patients, the husbands come, the boyfriends come, the partners come. Please come out so you can protect the women and make sure that you're also aware, and bring your children out, because this is an opportunity for children to be in a group, in a room with a lot of individuals where they can see positive things and learn positive things. We still are taking sponsors up until the point, because everything is going back to the community. All the strollers, all the car seats, all the monitoring systems, the bottles, the diapers, everything that I have, I am giving it back to the community. So I say, please come. And if you look, if you're looking to sponsor, you can reach out on my personal email. That is MAYAR as in Robert, O as in octopus, L as in lemon, F as in Frank, E as in egg @gmail.com. That's Maya Rolfe @gmail.com, or you can reach out to Otis, OTIS Dominique, just like Dominique, DOMINIQUE @gmail.com, and we will gladly send you our sponsorship package to let you know. It gives a more detail into who we are and where we're going with this.
Well said. And I'm going to take this video, all of this information, I'm going to push it out to my networks, and I want to wish you and Otis nothing but prosperity, blessings on your mission. You have been watching a CWHITT session. I'm Chelsea Whittington, and a CWHITT session is a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. But I'm so glad you're no longer surprised. You are, in fact, a blessing to this community. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Dr. Maya Dominique, and this is not the last time we will interface. I will see everybody Saturday, April 27th from 11 to 3 at the Boys and Girls Club in Gary for the Women's Health Fair. Then we'll log on Sunday, April 28th from 3 to 5 p.m. to talk maternal morbidity and mortality. Did I get it right?
You got it right. Can I invite one more person?
Please, please.
So I know that we have a new mayor here.
Yes.
And I know I was reading on his website that the first 100 days he is interested in decreasing. That's one of his
platform bullets.
Yes, about maternal mortality. So I haven't gotten into contact with the mayor.
I got you.
Okay, got it. And if he's watching this, please, Mayor Milton, if you are in Gary on that day, please stop by so you can see your constituents and how we are out here, and we are doing the best that we can to make sure that the women in this area are taken care of. And also Dr. Seabrook.
Yes.
I have not met her yet,
Got
but
you.
I've heard a lot about her amazing things.
She is a phenomenal woman.
Just really trying, I mean, you know, the name of her community health net, right?
Yes.
The net that is capturing, when I think of her name, capturing all of the people. I mean, I take care of her patients also, right? I serve at Methodist North Lake and South Lake, and sometimes St. Catherine. But I serve at those two hospitals mainly. And so another thing is just, you know, making sure that the patients, the women do come out, because the hospital that I serve is in the neighborhood where this educational
and it was where I was
health fair
born many years ago.
It's a great hospital, guys. Yes. We do some amazing.
I'm so glad you name dropped. So I'm gonna just be like Mayor Melton. I'm gonna text you, Dr. Seabrook. I'll be with her tomorrow in the morning and tomorrow evening, as she will be at a sickle cell banquet as health commissioner and CEO. She's on roller skates.
I can imagine.
But for health, just like you.
Yeah.
We have a new friend, everybody, Dr. Maya Dominique. So I had to excuse Amber. She went to handle some more CWHITT business. So I'm going to go stop the cameras, and I'm going to ask that you wave bye.
Bye-bye.
Share this video. We'll see you next time.